All right, welcome to, I think this is part 5 of this short story writing. I did a little bit of work on my own. I was trying to organize some of my thoughts from the brainstorming and the world building. I didn't end up doing that, but I now have links to part 1 and part 2, so it's easier when I open this to get to my stuff. And I set myself some goals. Things that I want to keep in mind. I want to keep the figurative language focused on farming and the family. That's one goal. And so far, I think I'm succeeding at that. I want to constantly move through a scene. So, for example, at the beginning of part 1, Rickard enters the alley. He enters this dark alley. And when he's in the alley, first it's just a dark alley. And then we talk about the stranger. He's a few paces in, and we describe the stranger. And then Rick takes 2 steps in. So he's entering the scene more. Noises are fading behind him. He's not picking up the smells he thought he would in this alley. And then candles burst to light. So we've gone from leaving a market, entering this dark alley. We're in the dark alley. There's a stranger. Sensory input. Suddenly the candles light up. Well, now we see even more of this scene. So we're slowly seeing more and more of the setting with the character. And so he's looking at the things that are on the ground. And then, there's a final flare of more candles. The guy opens up his cloak and we see even more stuff. So we're slowly revealing more about this scene, and there's a note that I'll have to come back to because it goes even a step further than that. I want to keep it whimsical and fantastic. I want there to be hints of danger, but it's not going to have a bad ending. I think it'll have a happy ending. There will definitely be a question, but I naturally write kind of whimsical, fantastic. It's fantasy, but fantastic meaning there should be moments of, oh wow, some of those. Eventually, I need to think of a title. That's definitely a goal. I keep calling it Plant Monster Story. I thought about calling it Reckoning, but that doesn't feel right because the main character keeps saying, I reckon. If I could do something with that, that might be fun. So I'll have to explore that. But ideally, I want to pull a phrase from the story. So maybe there will be a few words that'll jump out at me or a phrase that'll jump out at me. When it's all done, I might have a better idea of what to call it. I don't know if I want to focus on the seed so much. There's a lot I could do with the seed as the title. So I set myself goals, and then I did a little bit of work on part 1. So part 1, for example, here I was looking at this. To Rick, it looked like nothing more than a glass figurine in the shape of a girl, probably Faye's age. And I've made a note that I want to cut that. I want to cut that because he says down here, the stranger is saying, what do you see inside the box? And Rick says, a little girl, almost looks like one of my girls. So if I already tell you it's in the shape of a girl, then why is he saying that? It's better to have him say that. I also changed this. I was trying to find a good way to describe the fact that these blue candle flames, the light from the blue candles, can't quite go all the way into this box. So I chose penumbra. That popped into my head. Penumbra is the partially shaded outer region of the shadow cast by an opaque object. So it doesn't quite fit. But it's better. It's better than what I had. That's sort of the idea that I want. Something similar to Penumbra. So we'll have to mark it. I'm going to mark it. I'll mark it red. And then I liked the idea of conquering the box's walls. I was trying to find a good word, almost as if the walls are the walls of a castle or a fort, and they're conquering them, they're overcoming them. I like that connection, conquering and the walls. So I might play around with that a bit later. Makes the shadows dance within the figurine. He saw... Okay, so Rick was almost certain he saw a faint red glow at its very center, clashing with the alley's soft blue. That I wrote because we have the candles. They're described one time as aquamarine. That's the only description we have of these candles. So this is, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs later, we're reminding the reader it's blue light, and we have the contrast with this red glow. I wanted to be clear that I don't want readers to be reading and thinking, wait, I thought the light was blue. No, this is a different glow that's specifically clashing with the alley's soft blue light. So I added that. That was a change. Down here, I've got a cut I want to make. He's saying, hoping someone will take it home, put it on a high shelf, and while they sleep, it'll fall and break. That was really rough. So I cut that. So now stories say breaking it open, the figurine, will release the creature within, the demon, which will grant the owner a single wish, or perhaps a curse. We got to keep that hint of danger. And then Rick says, but you're selling it. And then I added, tightening his eyes into a fair approximation of the farmyard cat's standard expression of skepticism. Trying to keep it connected to the farm, so I thought of a cat. Most farms would have a cat. Keep mice and rats away. And I feel like a cat would look very skeptical. Something I'll continue to look at. Yes, the stranger said, only 50 bits. And then I cut here. You just told me a house is a demon's soul, Rick said. I have a family. Why would I ever take something like that in my home? Oh, all right, the stranger said. I lied. Hold on, I have my comments. There we go. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think I changed anything there. I didn't have time. Down here, this comment, this was an idea that I had. They should know each other. So instead of him following a stranger into the alley, he knows this merchant. He knows this man. They've made trades before. And this is a kind of game they play, where they pretend that they don't know each other. You see this they do this in movies or TV shows. The couple. We don't know that it's a husband and wife. We don't know it's a couple. So it's a guy hitting on a woman at the bar. And then we find out, they were playing a game. They were doing some kind of role playing. They're actually a couple. They're not a couple in my story, but I thought it would be fun to have a moment where it's revealed that they do know each other. So Rick is supposed to be playing along, but he's not. He says, they're magic seeds. He already knows he's getting magic seeds. So then the merchant can be really put out by that and say, you're ruining the fun. You're supposed to play along. And we realize, they do know each other. So that connects back to the idea of constantly move through a scene. I want to be seeing something new, seeing new things. So we think we know the situation and it changes. As soon as we start to get comfortable in this situation, it changes. And it's suddenly, oh, they know each other. Oh, okay. It's an idea I have. I'll explore that. I'll probably do a whole thing about that because I'm going to have to make sizable changes if I decide to keep that. I mean, I'm going to have to change the whole flow of conversations and how they react to each other. Down here, I was trying to think of a name. So I thought, he's a merchant. He should have some kind of special name, not just a regular name. Oh, hi, I'm Tom the Merchant. I thought something that's similar to coin, a mint, a bit, or coin spelled with a K. I don't like that one. And bit felt problematic to me because if they talk about bits, bit said, 5 bits, bit said, I don't want that repetition of bit. So mint, I thought mint sounds good. You mint a coin. It also has a kind, mint, like a breath mint. You could think of it has a little bit of surprise to it. You pop it in and it hits you with that spearmint or whatnot. So I'm going to call him Mint for now. I also, anything that's sort of a golden yellowish color, maybe a brownish color, those are changes I made on my own. So originally the flowers were singing, but I thought, no, it should be poetry because they recite bawdy goblin limericks. Bawdy goblin limericks. That's a mouthful. Bawdy goblin limericks. Bawdy goblin. I might change the creature. Goblins feel like they would have bawdy limericks. I thought about dwarves, but I wanted it to be something sort of non-human. And then I had Rick laugh. Rick laughed. How could he not? It was a single guffaw yanked from his chest like a fish pulled free of the water after a worthy struggle. This might change because again, the goal, keep it connected to the farm. A stubborn, cluster of potatoes, some kind of crop that he's trying to pull out, or maybe like a tree trunk that they dug up. I think that would be a little bit more unique than a fish being pulled out of the water. And there would also still be the worthy struggle. So I can keep the excuse me, I can keep the simile. Blah, 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 blah. For anyone else, yes, Mint said. Under his breath, he added, though if you loved your daughter, surely you would be willing to spend a bit of coin. Yeah, I had a note for that, so I added it. Rick raised an eyebrow. Oh, but you've proven a rare challenge for a wide-traveling merchant, such as myself. I'll sell it to you for the price of my 4th most expensive item. And then, here at the end, I added even a single golden tally wouldn't have been unexpected. So something higher than a sovereign. I really like that. Tally. Tally is a kind of a unit of money. A golden tally. So it would be a little golden bar almost. I could see people carrying that around. Okay. I made a note to myself. Move this earlier so that part 1 can end with Mint slowly saying the price. Then we can cut to part 2 where we actually hear the price. So right here, he's saying how much. It can be yours for a single Rick perked up at that. Gold, Rick deflated slightly. And then probably end that part right there. And then we cut to part 2. For a single gold sovereign, Rick said. So ideally, I want to actually change it a little bit. Oh, geez. See, if I cut, it would be nice if it went, it can be yours for ... for a single gold sovereign. Or I would cut for. So literally the merchant's words are leading into Rick's story. So we have this sort of transition from part 1 into part 2. That would be fun. However, that means cutting all of this. Or reworking it. Not having this pacing. He said, "Oh, it can be yours for for a single gold, or for 3 gold." Maybe he says a different price. Well, I guess he could do it slow, but then when he says the amount, Rick thinks he can get it lower. Something I need to work on. That'll be part of a more in-depth rewrite. For now, I need to get the rough draft finished. And then I don't think I made any changes to part 2. But this is what I want to focus on right now for a little while. So, I was down here the last time I was writing. Faye held the seed tight against her body, while Mary pulled at her sister's ponytail and clothes, fighting for a closer look at the seed. And I need to watch the repetition of seed. The ponytail was growing long, and the end would soon look like a brown tail, long enough to brush her lower back, but not as long as today's shirt, again stolen from her brother and worn in lieu of a dress. Faye was just tall enough that the oversized red shirt didn't catch beneath her feet, sending her tumbling. No. The red shirt didn't catch beneath her feet and send her tumbling. Stolen from her, then at her one recently outgrown by their brother. Okay, long enough to put stolen from her brother. I think it's better that it's not that he's outgrown it. She's just taking his clothes. She just wants to wear his clothes. Elm watched the girls go, following in their footsteps to clean up a few specks of dirt from the floor as they rained from between Faye's, clutching fingers, something like that. Again, trying to avoid talking about the seed too much. Meowfa, thanks. Thanks for following. Illustrate the view through the front door. Corn. A wall of corn to each side and a path between. Okay. This is something I was having trouble with. And I do like the path. Just large enough for a cart to pass and just bumpy enough to make the trip unpleasant. I want that for sure. However, I need to go look at my notes because I have all my inspiration stuff, all the brainstorming, and then I had... Yes, okay. when I first started the story, before I started writing, I was just brainstorming settings. So, market. Check. We have the market. At the farmhouse, I wanted to have a kitchen. We're in the kitchen at the beginning of part 2. A barn, we've mentioned maybe. Animal pens, fields, fruit trees. I think the fruit trees will be with the garden. So fields, animal pens, a barn. I would like us to be able to see some of these things through the front door. Probably not the barn. I suppose we're not going to see the animal pens. Unless the animal pens are off to the side. And as the girls... So imagine the girls are walking out the front door. Hold on. What's the best way to illustrate this? Yeah, the girls are walking out the front door. And they're going around the house. And we see them in windows, right? Maybe there's one window to the side of the door. So as he sees them, he sees another little bit of the farm, maybe the animal pens. And then they come past another window. There could be another window here and off to the side. And then when he looks out that window, we could see the barn. This is all sort of me trying to constantly expand the setting from within the kitchen. I had an idea that I wanted to play around with. So with that in mind, what's that? That's part 1. With that in mind, we could have a wall of corn to the right. And I want it to be fully grown, almost fully grown, near harvest time. Pretty close. So we'll have a wall of corn to the right, a path. Yes, okay. A wall of corn to the right, and then opposite that, on the other side, we'll have potatoes, tomatoes, carrots, cabbages. I'm trying to think. We have a little garden out front. We have lettuce. We have tomatoes. We have some strawberries. We have cucumbers. But cucumbers grow. They're insane when they grow. They just grow all over the place. I really like the gaji. The gaji. I'm speaking Korean. I'm so used to saying it in Korean. Eggplant. Eggplant. It's a little tree. It's really cool. I mean, it really grows into what looks like a little tree. We also have like chili peppers, the Korean chili peppers that we grow, and you get these beautiful little trees. So peppers would be nice. I always like peppers. Just a random selection of stuff is on the other side. So, there, and then fruit trees. We'll have fruit trees even further. So they can have jams, preserves in their root cellar. They'll have sacks of potatoes, probably, carrots, onions, probably, things they can keep dry. Okay. So we're gonna have a wall of corn to the right, and potatoes, cabbage, and onions on the left. That's the view from inside the farmhouse, right and left. Follow the girls past windows, describing the fruit trees and barn and animal pens. Maybe. I don't have to show everything. It was just an idea. It was something I wanted to see if I could do it. A little challenge for myself. Okay. So Elm watched the girls go, following in their footsteps to clean up a few specks of dirt from the floor as they rained from between Faye's clutching fingers. There's a lot happening in there. Elm watched the girls go. It shouldn't be Elm. It should be Rick. Rick watched the girls go. I'll probably add some things, some kind of emotion, possibly. They... Something about them, they... There should be a porch. They scurried. I think I already used scurried. Yeah, they scurried. They scurried toward the front door. So they... I don't want to spend too long just trying to think of they rushed down the porch steps. And then I'm thinking about the height of the corn. They rushed down the porch steps. And through the shadows cast by the field of corn, nearly full grown, in the eastern field, I guess. And through the shadows cast by the nearly full-grown corn in the eastern field. I had an idea. What if I could somehow describe the height of the corn with the height of the girls? The youngest girl, how short she is, and the older girl who's shorter. Are they half the size of the corn? Are they? Do they look like steps? They're going down the steps, and then the girls themselves look like steps, their heads, and then the corn. But that it wasn't coalescing. Better to just get to the description. Through the shadows cast by the nearly full-grown corn in the eastern field. And then we could do the path, where a path. Here's the path. I don't want to say they again. I was thinking, well, rough draft. Crossing the path between fields. It was just large enough for a cart to pass and just bumpy enough to make the trip unpleasant. It was just large enough for a cart to pass. Just large enough for a cart to fit. For a single cart, it was just large enough for a single cart. I think I like that better. It was just large enough for a single cart and just bumpy enough to make the trip unpleasant. Okay. They kicked up dirt, crossing the path between fields. Yeah, I think that's a nice way to introduce the setting. That's the whole point. I'm trying to let my characters show us the scene as they move through it. I was talking to my daughter about this because in my mind there are two ways that you could approach a setting. I think one is it's there. Everything's there. You describe your scene. You spend a paragraph or two or three or four. I mean, if you're reading a novel, you're going to see writers do this. You open the door to a place and then here's everything that you can see in this place that's important. And then the characters move around in that setting that we've described. I think the other option is what I'm trying to do, which is really focusing on, okay, we're in a kitchen, there's a table. And you as the reader, you know what a kitchen looks like. I don't need to describe where the stove is and where the knives are and where the spoons are and the pots and the pans. I mean, I might, but you can fill in some of those details. And then I can just focus on who are the characters, what are they doing? And then as they spread out, we see more. They paint the scene with their actions. And I don't know if I've ever written in this way before. Anyways, it was just large enough for a single cart to, just bumping unpleasant. And then if they're passing the no longer as the girls passed. Yes, I got rid of past, so now I can use it here. As the girls passed the western field, Mary stopped, harassing her sister long enough to I'm thinking expertly nip a pepper. I was trying to think of a good descriptive word. I was thinking fat pepper, long pepper, shiny pepper. Maybe shiny. They are shiny. And I think supposedly that's the trick. You're supposed to look at the pepper, and if it looks really smooth, especially up near the stem, supposedly it's not spicy. If it has a lot of wrinkles, kind of cracks in it, especially up near the stem, supposedly it's more spicy. But I don't know if that's true. I don't want you to go out and say, oh, well, Mike, he said this pepper wouldn't be spicy. Crunch. And then you're in agony. As the girls passed the western field, Mari stopped harassing her sister long enough to expertly nip a shiny pepper from the nearest, from the, what did I say? I said from the western field. Okay, there you go. He's watching them. He can see through the front door. He can see the corn, path, other field. I can describe that field more if I want to. I think in another paragraph. So in this paragraph, I could a little bit of dialogue probably. Can't believe another season's almost passed. We'll be harvesting before the month's end. Rick said, knowing he sounded older than his... he's a father of 3 and the oldest is a teenager, so he's got to be in his 40s, I would say. Knowing he sounded older than his 40-odd years. We'll be harvesting before the month's end. But I might... Again, I'm trying to keep Rick's speech very sort of short and clinical, right? Be harvesting before the month's end. He doesn't need to say we will be. He's only going to say the words that are necessary to say, to some extent. And then Elm can say something and we can show that she's on the floor. So can't believe another, Rick said, knowing he's older than his 40-odd years. Be harvesting before the month's end. She might say, oh, 'tis not. I don't like 'tis not. Don't make it sound like a bad thing, Elm said from the floor. She was cleaning I could say she had followed in the girl's wake and was cleaning a few specks of dirt that had rained from between face-clutching fingers. Don't make it sound like a bad thing, Elm said from the floor. This year's harvest looks to be our best ever. Which is why we can afford a magic seed for our daughter's, birthday. That might be a nice extra thing to add in there. I've got the corner, follow the girls describing the fruit. Okay. So yeah, I feel that feels good. Right here, I could add this. I'm just going to move it for now. I want to look at the rest of this. And I feel like this. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I have that bit of dialogue. Describe that western field, just so that we have an idea of what's in there and what they're going to do with it. I could even introduce the root cellar as he thinks about how much space is available there. That would be good in dialogue, though. So that might come later. That might come here near the end, because I have this note that Elm is she's going to head off to the root cellar. Well, then that's perfect then. Because if I want to introduce the root cellar, he could think about it there, and then he could ask her about it. How much space is there in the root cellar? And she could say, I'll go and check. You go, spend time with the girls. So then she has a very clear reason to go out to the root cellar, and we're introducing that setting. And we have an idea that there's a certain amount of stuff in there. Got to make those connections. Everything's just connecting together. A wall of corn, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I also like this because the girls leave. They're going to pop back into the scene here in this other window. And then they're essentially, they're gone. They're not in the setting anymore. So Rick's watching them. He's watching them. He's just kind of he looks down. He talks to his wife. He's thinking about just kind of looking out over the field, thinking, I got to do all this work. And, sees the girls out of the corner of his eye, talks about the fruit trees. And then even further out of the corner of his eye, sees that his son is trying to escape while he's been distracted talking to his wife and watching the girls. So as for you, Rick said, throwing his voice at Nikki like a shackle, it's not going to work. It's not going to work if I want my goal. Keep figurative language focused on farming and family. They're not going to have shackles on a farm. So that'll need to be changed. That'll be one. I'll probably work on it in like a simile workshop. I did one of those. I like that. It's quick. It's a good way to get the creative juices flowing for me. I did the simile workshop, and then I came to work on writing, and the ideas were just firing out. As for you, Rick said, throwing his voice at Nikki like a shackle. His teenage son had been trying to slink away. Slink is such a perfect word. Slink. I think of animals as slinking. I think of a ferret. Something with a really long body. Slinking away. And I feel like that's what a teenage boy would be trying to do. He would be kind of trying to make himself smaller and escape, because he's gotten quite large and failing rather spectacularly. The young man still hadn't grown into his body after the latest growth spurt, which Rick hoped would be the last. Yeah, see, I have a growth spurt here. Okay. I mean, the teen had been trying failing rather spectacularly. But why? How so? I didn't explain. How is he failing? It could be that he's bumping into bumping into things. Floorboards creaking beneath his large frame. I mean, he's a farm boy. This is a teenager who eats meat, probably cheese, eggs, milk, vegetables, big meals, lots of grains. He's going to be big. He's working all day, chopping firewood, planting, harvesting, picking weeds, feeding cows, cleaning the barn, all these things. This is going to be a big kid. He's going to be big. He's going to be fairly burly, muscular. Not, he's not a bodybuilder, but he'll be big. So yeah, and especially he had a growth spurt. I mean, he's really got a man's body suddenly. I remember when that happened to me. I had no idea. Suddenly my shoulders got broader. So I looked like a noodle all my life. I had these little noodle arms, noodle body, and then suddenly, just in high school, just boom, shoulders. I had these broad shoulders, and I had no idea. And so you bump into things as a young man. I would bump into walls. I would bump into the door frame. I would bump into people in my family, and they would get pissed at me. And they finally said, they're like, you don't realize that you have shoulders now. You need to be careful. Watch where you're going. And I'm glad they said that to me, because I'm very careful where I'm going. I'm always trying to make myself smaller so I don't bump into people. So, as for you, Rick said, throwing his voice at Nikki, I think it's better. I don't want to split up this dialogue. I'm just worried because we don't really know who Nikki is. He speaks one time. Doesn't look very magical, Nikki said. That's it. That's the only instance we have of Nikki. So I need to make sure that he's in the scene enough that when we get to him, we know who he is. And then down here I could say, have you finished? Then I can move this. I don't know. See, no. Okay, I'm going to keep it how it is for now. I would rather have this close together. If I move this and put this, you're going to get distracted. Have you finished all your morning chores? Then you're going to read a paragraph describing the sun. And then he's going to answer the question, and you're going to have to go back. Wait, what was the question? And some of the afternoon ones. I would rather have this together. It flows better. Have you finished all your morning chores? And some of the afternoon ones, Nikki said. Still not turning around. Got to make sure that's in there, that he's, his like shoulders are hunched because he's caught. He's like expecting a blow. Good. Then I reckon, or I suggest, you clean your bedroom. Yeah, this is something I need to keep an eye on. No. Here's what I'm going to do. I think that's another goal. Something I want to keep in mind for the whole story is, tighten the POV. the point of view. Show us a bit more into Rick's mind and how he thinks. I don't really have that right now. Especially when it comes to him saying reckon. That's what I'm thinking about. Way down here. Instead of him saying, I reckon, or I suggest, instead of having him say that, I'll just have him say, I reckon. Something like, now that Mari had once again pointed out his overindulgence in reckoning, as she called it. He cringed internally every time one slipped out. Something like that. So we're seeing a little bit of Rick's character. I feel, he would say, but damn it all, except it would be damn it all. It would have to be 3 words. He didn't care how he sounded. So what if he liked that word? That's an idea I could explore as I get to know Rick even better as a character. Maybe he's... Thanks for the follow. Maybe he's... Thanks for the dog. Maybe he's... maybe he might explore the idea that he could say worse words. Try to only mutter them under his breath around the animals. So maybe there's a connection. Maybe he says reckon so that he's not saying worse words. He's a farmer. Like, I'm sure farmers swear. So that'll be fun to look back at. I got to remember that that Nikki has food in his mouth. God, what would that sound like? Hold on. Do I have anything I can put in my mouth that's not gross? Something clean? I have some chocolate. Ooh, I have some chocolate. Okay, this will be fun. So, Nikki's going to be talking with food in his mouth. I don't know. How do I want to do this? Hold on. Have you finished turning around? So obviously speaking through a full mouth. He must have stuffed as much food as he could fit. Hold on. He must have stuffed as much food as he could fit and fled the kitchen the moment Rick and Elm were distracted by the girls. And then I don't know, something about him not turning around that can be later. And then I can get rid of this note down here. Okay. So, and some of the afternoon ones. What's that going to sound like if I have food in my mouth? I'm going to put this in my mouth and then try to say it. I'm really embarrassed to do this. I don't know if it's going to work. All right. And some of the afternoon ones. And some of the afternoon ones. And some of the afternoon after. I can't do it. And some of the afternoon ones after. Afternoon ones. That's kind of hard. And some of that part looks right. And some of the, but afternoon, afternoon, afternoon ones. I think that's good. I don't want to stick any more food in my mouth. Okay. So I don't know if I want to use that or not, but it was an idea that I had. That I'll make it gold, kind of a goldish color. I thought it would be fun to do what I just did. And some of the afternoon ones. Yeah, I think it's close enough. Rick could interpret that. He could understand it. We as readers, we can get the actual words. It's obviously speaking through a full mouth. And it's fun, the idea that he... I mean, imagine, like, they're having a birthday party. The second that Mom and Dad are distracted by the younger sisters, he just sticks all the food he can in his mouth and then tries to run away, because otherwise he's going to have to do something. He's going to be given chores to do. And now he's caught. It makes me so happy. I don't know why. It makes me really happy to think about that. So yeah, he stuffed as much food as he could fit and fled the kitchen. And then I don't know how he would react to the food. He might look down at the table. Maybe Rick looks down at the table to see, several plates cleared of leftover cake. That makes me really happy too. Maybe the girls were going to come back and finish their cake, except their older brother just ate it all. 100% my brother would do, not my brother, my son would do something like that. 100%. Okay. They were distracted by the girls. He must have stuffed as much food as he could fit. Yeah, and then he could say, oh, good, then I reckon you can clean your bedroom. That might change. And I might want to do ... I might want to put this in the middle. Then I reckon... Rick paused. Now that Mary had once again pointed out his overindulgence in reckoning, as she called it, now, would his daughter speak like that? Probably not. But it's a fun couple of words. Overindulgence in reckoning. He cringed internally every time one slipped out. But damn it all, he didn't care how he sounded. So what if he liked that word? So, if I don't have this... Okay, good, then I reckon... Rick paused. Now that Mary had once again pointed out his overindulgence in reckoning, as she called it, he cringed internally every time one slipped out. But damn it all, he didn't care how he sounded. So what if he liked that word? You can clean your bedroom. This would have to be a new paragraph. And this would have to be a new line. I mean, I could say Rick finished telling his son, you can clean your bedroom. Because this is going to take us out of the scene for a moment. And if I say Rick finished telling his son, okay, we're right back. I've just brought you right back. Rick paused. Rick finished telling his son, you can clean your bedroom. I'll look at it later once I have things a bit more finalized, see if I'm still happy with that. Then I was thinking about I had this idea that Nikki's shoulders are hunched. Sort of not anticipating a blow, anticipating a heavy load of chores. And at this simple command, they relaxed. Maybe they spread open like a bird about to take flight. It fits. He's got his shoulders hunched and then, he relaxes. All I have to do is clean my room. And then I can fly away free like a bird. There's a nice connection there between his shoulders, what he's anticipating, relaxing, comparing it to a bird. So his shoulders are hunched. He's anticipating heavy load, and at this simple command, they spread open like a bird about to take flight. And then, the boy should have known better. I was somehow show that Rick is enjoying this moment. He wants to give Nikki this little moment of hope. He wants to dash those hopes. Then I reckon you can. Da 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 da. Like he'll just start giving him a big long list of chores that he has to do, and he can watch. You know, he's watching as the boy. Shrank, deflated, wilted as thoroughly as the grapes they left out in. The grapes are in the fall. And grapes is good. There's a grape orchard that butts up against my backyard. So in the late summer, in the fall, you can smell the grapes. It's really wonderful. Big purple Korean grapes. So when we get grapes, we buy them from our neighbor. And they're good. They're really good. They do usually have seeds, though. It depends. But yeah, the idea that he would start giving him all these chores. I mean, Nikki should know. He should know. But also, yes, this, the goal, keep the figurative language focused on farming. And this also serves the purpose of, again, I'm trying to introduce the settings, keep the settings in our mind. We haven't actually been to the fruit trees, but we will have seen the girls walk past them. So then here we get this little callback. Oh, that's right. They have fruit trees on this farm. So it's not just figurative language. It's figurative language specifically about their farm, about their grapes. I love doing that. It's so much fun when I can do that. Rather than taking something from completely outside the story. If I can make a simile, any kind of figurative language with elements from the story itself, that's always going to be stronger. Rick could trace Nikki's progress to the second floor by the creak of every floorboard. Could trace Nikki's progress by the creak of every floorboard. He'd promised to replace a dozen times now. Something like that. No, better. He'd promised to replace only to put it off again and again. That's another part of Rick's character. He's busy. He works on a farm. There's always something to do. He's a busy man. He has a list of chores. Because that's going to come up once the magic seed starts to grow. Now they have another thing they have to worry about. Making sure that they take care of this plant. Water this thing. Feed it. Whatever I decide on. I mean, that's the next part. Where's my list of parts? Part 3, I wanted to have a lot of anticipation, quickly showing life on the farm, resuming its normal course, the daughter watching the patch of dirt for several hours each day. Part 4, the plant growing, but not in the garden. There are vines in the root cellar, super thin ones growing among the plants. I have a really fun idea for the plants. All the corn and plants that are growing, and how the magic seed is going to interact. I was considering cutting this, but this, I feel, is a very important scene. I feel it should be really quick. A quick snapshot. The birthday's over. Everything on the farm goes back to normal. Here's a real quick description of what that entails. But then having Faye take great care of the seed. Show her really pouring love and attention into this magic seed, because she really believes it's magic, even though no one else really thinks it's magic. That's going to be important to the plot. So that'll be the next part. That's going to be a challenge. So Nikki's going up. This shouldn't be here. It should be here. If I can use the warp and wane of wood continued as Nikki's heavy footfalls sounded from directly overhead. So then we've got him in his bedroom. This part, I moved it because of this part. This needs to come while he's still there. I mean, here he should be, start like walking away slowly. Not dragging his feet, because then that sort of counteracts the creaking. Maybe. Okay, walking away, dragging his feet. Now that he was fully, now that he was snared and no longer saw any hope for escape, he would rain his misery down on everyone within earshot. Like the spring storms. Something about storms, obviously. Rain his misery down. Storms, rain on a farm. That's a good connection. But also, yes, he's a teenager, so he's going to grumble about doing his chores. He should be used to them, but it doesn't matter. My son, I mean, I'm kind of basing this on my son loosely. My son is 16. 15, 16? He was born in 07. So and his birthday's in July. So how old is he? What year is it? Hold on. Math time. Michael's bad. He's 15, right? Yes. I am bad at math. Which is why I'm a writer. So 15 or 16. He'll eat, and he'll just have one plate. Just one plate. That's it. No utensils. Maybe he's eating a piece of bread or something, and he puts it on a plate. Well, that's nice. It's on a plate. That's good. He's not just eating like an animal and dropping crumbs everywhere. But then he can't take that single plate and put it, 3 feet away in the sink. That's too much. He has to complain about it. Oh, I'm too tired. So Nikki would definitely complain. But also, I need to remember, don't forget about his daydreams. As soon as he's in the room, maybe he's daydreaming, pretending to be a soldier, because this has been mentioned in part 1. So that would be a nice callback. Okay, but then I wanted to, think he might be taller than you, Elm said. If only by a hair. I know he is, and by more than a hair. Rick said. Balancing pride and what would the word be? I mean, he's proud. He has raised his son into a man, but he's also kind of sorrowful, pride and sorrow, and not necessarily regret, but something similar. In his tone. I'll work on that later. And then we can have Nikki walking around upstairs, making a bunch of noise. Show his physical characteristics as he's being sent off on a chore. Yeah, I still haven't done that. So I'll put that there. This should go down here. And then now I'm looking at this. This should be up higher. Think he might be taller than you, Elm said, if only by a hair. Yeah. How much of this do I want to move? All of it, I guess. I know he is, and by more than a hair, Rick said, balancing pride and sorrow in his tone. Then show Nikki, and then maybe Elm says, Faye's... What was Faye's whole thing is that she... I'll show you how I introduced Faye, if you don't know, if you haven't seen it before. 4-year-old Faye planted a week's worth of chicken eggs in the garden, dreaming of a magical plant that would bloom into baby chicks. That's how we meet Faye. Rick is thinking about her and how she once planted chicken eggs, thinking they were similar enough to seeds that surely they would grow into a plant, and that plant would, of course, have baby chicks. So that's Faye. That's her character in a sentence. So, yeah, like down here, Faye's never he's never been so excited in her life. Hasn't been too long of a life yet, Rick said, which earned him a hearty slap on the back. And then Elm could say, I reckon you did well, Elm said. She's teasing him by saying, I reckon. Imitating his slight drawl. Speak in a slow, lazy way with prolonged vowel sounds. I mean, the opposite would be clipped. Speaking very quickly. Clip, 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 clip. I think he would speak with a drawl. I reckon you did well. Hasn't been too long of a life yet, Rick said. I think that's how he would talk. Probably. I don't know. I can always come back. That's an easy change to make. And then he didn't respond. All his attention back on the front door, thinking about the day's chores. Because then I wanted him to ask her about the root cellar. She'll probably respond to the fact that he's not fully paying attention. And then he'll ask her, would you mind No, I don't like that. Why is this so difficult? It's just a question. How much space do you reckon we have in the root cellar? Oh, it should be enough. Should be more than enough for this year's harvest again. But I don't really want to say harvest. I really want to say something specifically. Be more specific. And then I'm thinking also maybe I took a few jars into I took a cart load of cherry preserves into the city last week, if you'll remember. That cleared up some shelf space. but I'll go and have a look. Okay. She headed out the front door in the opposite. She walked through the front door and headed in the opposite direction the girls had taken. Rick stood alone for the moment. In the kitchen for a moment. A rare moment. Took a long breath. Oh, should he have a mustache? Mustaches are so much fun to describe. He could have a long, dangly, like Sam Elliott mustache. Right? We could give him one of these. Look at that thing. Oh, yeah, like that. Look at that. It's a big, hairy caterpillar. Beautiful. He really needs to have a mustache. Don't you think? I don't know. I don't know why. It makes me really happy if he had a big mustache. Or he could just have a beard. I just imagine him standing there alone, just kind of looking out at the farm. Just takes 1 minute. Takes a deep breath. And like blows the air out through his nose and sets the mustache quivering. And released it slowly, setting his mustache hairs. What did I say? Shivering? Wavering? I don't know. What did the hairs do? They would wave. They would blow. Like centipedes. Legs. I'm not gonna keep that. I just want to write it. It just makes me happy. Write something that makes you happy, even if you know you're gonna cut it. Make yourself laugh. Enjoy the experience. Don't worry so much about the goal, the destination, right? Okay. I don't know if he'll, but I do really enjoy the idea of ending that with him taking this quiet moment, and then, he'll go out the front door. Then, he heads outside. I'll fix that later. I just want to get, that's good. That's it. That's the rough draft of part 2. Oh, yeah, I don't want to show that part. I showed it before. Okay, so then I can start working on part 3 and part 4, which are pretty closely connected. So I'm going to keep my ideas together. Not bad. I'm real happy about that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, and it's going to get a little bit bigger. How big was part 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, part 1 was actually longer. So part 1 should be a little bit smaller, or they should be very similar, I would think. Doesn't really matter. Sorry, I know I keep scrolling, making you watch the text fly. Whee! Okay. But there's a reason. There's a reason I'm doing that. I want to look at the word count. Wow. 2,500 words. So the tentative goal was about 5,000 to 6,000 words. And we're almost halfway there already. So there's no way that I'm going to stay within that goal. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I don't write short stories very often. I don't like being restricted by the word count because I could understand. Well, no, okay. So the problem is if you're submitting a story to a publication, a short story, they're going to pay you. They're going to pay you per word. Sometimes, most often, some of them might pay you just a flat fee. Oh, you get $10 or you get $5. You're not going to get a lot. But some they pay you per word. So the longer your story is, the more they have to pay, obviously. So they want you to stay within a certain length. But there are other places where it's entirely online. They're not paying you anything. They're just trying to drive traffic to their site. It shouldn't matter how long it is. They should be able to break it into parts. But it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. It's not that I'm so in love with my story that I can't make cuts. It's just that sometimes when you're trying to fit it into a specific word count, a really low word count, it's just not the story that you wanted to tell. You're changing it into something completely different in order to fit this word count. So then you got to look for places where you can publish longer things. And there aren't many. They don't really want longer things. They don't want novellas. But this one, we'll see. We'll see if we can cut it down. Okay. Yeah, good. Great. Perfect. I wanted to stop around 1, and I actually met my goal. I tried to keep the language focused on farming and family as I was writing it. I feel like we really moved through that kitchen scene. We were constantly seeing something new. There was a bit of, humor, not really any hints of danger in that part, but that part's not supposed to really be dangerous. That's the part where we feel like everything's safe. There wasn't anything in there that I think I would use as a title. And started to tighten the point of view a bit, started to show into Rick's mind. So I kept my goals in mind. I feel like I made a little progress on each of them. Okay, good, great. I'm happy with that. So that's it. That's the end for today. If you're still here, Meowfa and Itanshi, thanks for the follow. And whoever is still here, thanks for watching. And I hope I see you again later. I hope you enjoyed that video. Look in the description down below. There's a lot more that you can find. My blog, my self-published novel. I have a stream on Twitch, and there are a lot of other YouTube videos. From the height of a mind, I'm Mike.